And we're live. And Nick's muted for some reason. And he's yelling. And I don't understand what's going on.
Oh, wow.
Nick, you're freaking out and nobody can hear you. Somebody tell Nick he's muted.
I'm not muted anymore.
There we go. That's a good start to the show. I like it. Nick was muzzled.
Hey, you know what? You know what that was right there? That's leaving the people waiting. That's a showbiz trick, okay? That's what happens. You leave the people. You start by saying things, and people just start going like, "Wow, what's he saying? Maybe he's saying something very profound, and I'm missing out. I need to turn up the volume." I don't know, guys. It's been an interesting couple of days, I would say, around the greater soccer community. So you both have been working yourselves half to death. So first of all, let's check in. How are you guys doing?
Good.
He's been working himself half to death more than my half to death. So I guess it might be like 75-25 or 80-20.
I don't know.
90-10.
I've got a list of potential managers. I got a lot of names on a sheet of paper. And that's only some of it. There's more. It's scary.
I want to start with that if we can, because it seems to be the thing that everybody wants to talk about out in the greater.
Here's what we're going to do. You're going to start with that. I'm going to go get a beer because I think I need it for this segment, and I'll be back.
Yes. Yeah, you go do that.
Yeah. Y'all talk amongst yourselves.
All right. So when the news came down about Frank de Boer and the mutual parting, if we want to call it that, from Atlanta United, immediately I felt, because I think it's safe to say that I was one of the people who said, let's give Frank time. Let's give Frank time. Frank deserves it. It takes time to implement something that, what Frank's trying to do. You had the injury to Joseph. All of those things told me Frank wasn't going anywhere. That it just by Joseph going down alone, you didn't have to worry about it. There's the built-in excuse is there. But when it happened, I have to say I wasn't terribly shocked, but I have to admit I was wrong about a couple of things. I have to admit, if we go by what The Athletic reported, and we're going to make a couple of assumptions here. One is that the sourcing of the article, that their source there was on 100% on the up and up, and everything that the person said was accurate. I'm going to make that assumption. The disconnect between Frank and the team almost identically mirrored everything that was said by players from Inter and Crystal Palace. The situation's totally different in my mind because of the issues that were at Inter, the issues at Crystal Palace, but the comments were very similar. The one thing that got me was the lack of detail line, where there would be instructions issued, not a ton of detail. It caused a massive amount of frustration. And I started trying to ponder how this could have gone sideways for someone like Frank, because this, out of all the situations that he could have gone to in the world outside of a place like China or Japan, this seemed to me like a table that was completely placed for him, where he would have had a budget, he would have had patience, he would have had players able to implement the strategies. It's not radically different. It's not like it's, you're trying to learn Italian and all of a sudden you switch it up and you're learning Swahili. It's not like it's something radically different. But I started thinking about the challenges that Frank would have had at Ajax and the challenges that Frank would have had here. And at Ajax, where he came up through that youth system, he played in the system, obviously left for Barcelona, a very similar system, and then come back, manage 4 Eredivisie titles, and everywhere else he's been, he struggled. Why? And the only thing I can put my finger on is sourcing and DNA. At Ajax, even though they brought in players from the outside, you had a core element of players whose DNA from the time they were 6 years old was Ajax. Positioning, what to do, when, and most importantly, why. Why do we do something? It's there. And nowhere else was that available to him. And it appears to me that with Atlanta United and MLS, with the salary structure and there's constant turnover, that while there was constant turnover at Ajax because the players knew we had to, time's up, we're going to move on, it's the system. Over here, you don't have that core of players, and the time isn't there for you, because even though there's no promotion or relegation, you still have fans who say, I expect X results. I want to be in, I expect my team to do this, and it's not happening. Is it possible nowadays, because everyone out there, when you talk about how you want to build a team, everyone says, oh, I want the Ajax model. I think it's time for all of us to do a gut check out there on what the Ajax model really means. And if you really have the time, patience, and energy to put an Ajax system in place. And I don't think it exists anymore. I don't think that and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, there's been 2 teams that have been able to run anything close to Ajax, and that's Ajax and Barcelona. And outside of that, you may have had a couple of people who may have halfway got there, but is it now to run anything, build anything from the ground up like the Ajax system in today's economy, in today's pressure-filled environments, where if you can't even do that in MLS, is there anywhere in the world where this man can go and facilitate those changes to a club?
It's interesting because if you want to get specific about that philosophy, and there's different flavors of it. I mean, Louis van Gaal and Frank de Boer and Johan Cruyff are all kind of on different places of the Ajax scale. Well, let's put it. Frank's probably in the middle of that, but Louis van Gaal and Johan Cruyff, they're a lot closer if you get outside of the Ajax scale than people will give them credit for. But on the Ajax scale, they're on opposite ends. Mm-hmm. They look at the game differently through that prism. In terms of the Ajax world, those are the 2. But that's kind of typical, to be honest, because Red Bull has a specific way of playing across the Red Bull clubs now, and they're trying to get consistency built in across all of those clubs. And Bernd Dursberger on Twitch points out that Leverkusen plays an Ajax system. I think every step you get away from the parent, so even Barca is Ajax influenced. It's not Ajax. It's Ajax through the Barcelona filter. I think Leverkusen would probably be the same. It's through a filter of what your club is. When Guardiola went to Bayern Munich, for example, he took his version of what Johan Cruyff brought from Ajax to Barca, then Pep put it through his own filter, then he put it forward with his team, then he went to Bayern and he realized, I can't do it exactly like I did at Barcelona because of that institutional knowledge. That's a huge element here. I think you hit on something that's really important, because you can't just replicate what worked somewhere else. It has to be true to where you are. You can't ask a German club to play like a Spanish club. You can't ask a Spanish club to play like a German club. There's different things in the DNA that make those clubs different. They can be influenced by them, and Bayern was maybe one of the most Spanish clubs that is in Germany, for a little while anyway, and they've kind of went away from that after that influence is gone. Atlanta United, what is Atlanta United? I think we're still figuring that out. But the part that you can replicate is something that I think Philadelphia is doing right now. It's something I think Dallas is doing right now. It's something that a lot of clubs in MLS want to do, and that is develop from within, not be afraid of playing young players, and go. And go. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the biggest step that Atlanta wanted to make with Frank de Boer. And I think in some ways that happened. I think there was a willingness to play Miles Robinson, which wasn't there before. There was a willingness to play George Bello, day one, game one. If he hadn't been injured, I think we would have seen a lot more of him. There was a willingness this year to promote George Campbell, to promote Lawrence Weick from within the club. I think even with Atlanta United 2, you saw a little bit of a change in that idea from year 1 to year 2 of that team, where you saw the team get younger and younger and younger to the point that this season, I mean, the average age of the last home game was 19.6 years old, the youngest the team's ever fielded. So I think that influence came through, but maybe we're looking at it just on the field and it has to look like something else, which is impossible. And maybe it's a little bit more of the structure and behind the scenes. Now the question is who comes in and further builds out what Atlanta United's DNA is, because it's so young that I don't know if we really know.
And it goes to a larger question as well. And then, John, I want you to jump in on this as well. Is that when we talk about how, the Germans don't play like the Spanish, and we saw this with after that Spanish run of dominance, right? Through the post 2006, the Spanish run,
when everybody tried to play like that.
Yeah, even Italy. Cesare Prandelli said, "We're going to open things up. We're going to play more of a possession game." I have no problem with possession ball. If you want to do that, that's fine. But I think we need to do a little bit of soul searching when we say we want this type of model. We want, be it Ajax, be it whether if you want to name the system, you want we want somebody from the Pep tree, we want somebody from the Bielsa tree. What do you really want? What are the things that you really, really want? Because you got when we talk about that, you talked about the spectrum of Ajax on the Louis van Gaal side and the Johan Cruyff side, because if you do any digging at all on Ajax, you can tell that there was a sort of a very nasty battle between the two of those guys, sniping at each other about tactics. Even Ajax had trouble identifying for a while who they wanted to be. Are we going to be Cruyffian? Right. Are we going to be Van Gaal? And then Frank, kind of as the child of the two, sort of blended it a little bit together. But the calls were still the same. It's boring. It's too rigid. It's too mechanical. John, when we talk about moving on, it looks like there's something that the Atlanta fan base wants, right? Which is aggressive, cavalier, go for it, swashbuckling. And then there's what won the title, which is more conservative.
Coming back, choosing your chance. Yeah.
Yes. And this is a big question, which one do we need to be going forward? And is there an opportunity for a middle ground on that?
I would think so. And I think that I would, and this is how I would view it through this prism. It's like driving a 5-speed. Mm-hmm. There are times when you've got to figure out where the clutch and the gas work, and there are times to figure out, all right, so maybe if I push the clutch in a little more, then the gas can respond a little quicker, and we can get from second to third, or maybe I can short shift from first to third gear and get everything going. Mm-hmm. I think that you've got to have a car that can do a bunch of those different things. You've got to have the car that can do well in traffic. You've got to have the car that can do well in fifth gear, or you're not going to, or that car is not going to be what you want it to be. And I know that I went down the road of a 5-speed transmission when describing what's going on, but that's just how I feel. It's like you've got to have the automobile that can do a bunch of things. I know that there are times when a lot of folks want the sports car, but there are times in matches where if you have the Honda Accord or the Toyota Camry, that's what you need to get from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. And I think that to have players that can be both of those individuals, understand that there are times to go forward and run like hell. Understand that there are times that your formation is going to be a little different. And you have to work things a little differently because folks are going to frustrate the ever-living daylights out of you. Mm-hmm. And to have that kind of DNA, I think is vital to success in the long run, because if you're one style, sooner or later, Nick, you get figured out. And I think that the more that you can bring to the table, the more that you can sit there and figure out, okay, today we need to do this. Today we need to look like this. Today here's what we need to here's what we need to wear today. Here's what we need to wear tomorrow. And those kinds you've got to have a big closet basically.
And I would like to point out, because we have people say, well, let's press, right? Let's go press heavy. Somebody said we need to bring in Ralf Rangnick. And as someone who I personally, and it makes Jason's brain
I
explode.
heard that. Can we please have a naughty
every time I
option
say that,
somewhere
I
in the
think,
chain?
Yeah, I think the counter pressing, I think that's the new Catenaccio, where it's ugly, but it's effective, and it's something that can be relatively easily installed. Jason's already shaking his head like he's going to pop. But, it's not something that's going to work when you have playoffs. It's going to do phenomenally well through the regular season. That's why the Red Bulls have so many darn supporter shields. They don't really have a lot of MLS Cups. But when you talk about, how we want to do things, we have people who say we want to be hyper defensive. Okay, great. That's fine. But then you get caught in this situation where something can go very wrong very quickly and you don't have a way to come back. I equate it to like sort of running the option, like if you watch any Georgia Tech football, like running the triple option, it's fine and great if you are trying to stay even or you're just ahead. But the minute you fall behind and you're a heavily defensive team, you are in trouble. You are pleading then for the perfect counter. And the perfect counter, according to the godfather of Catenaccio, is 3 passes tops. The end. 3 passes to go from one end to the other. Good luck having all those things fall right into your shoes perfectly every time. But with Atlanta United, we ran, press, attacking, aggressive. 2018, I want people to go and pull up the default formation for Catenaccio, right? Which is that 3-5-2. Now, I want you to look at where the right wing back is and remember where Julian Gressel was. For most of the time when Julian was here, he was the wing back pressed high. You had the left wing back, which was typically hanging out a little bit lower and would make runs forward. Julian would drop. I'm not saying Atlanta ran Catenaccio, but I am saying they ran a formation that was similar to that with similar principles. So it's not just cut and dry, one system all the time. This is what we need to do, because Atlanta is going to have to – Atlanta's speaking out right now saying this is what we as a fan base want. Whether any of us talking heads agree with it or not, it's what the fan base is screaming for. And apparently, Frank ran into some troubles that he couldn't overcome or didn't want to overcome. That's why I'm calling – I believe when they say it's mutual. Frank, why were we not attacking? I thought I was attacking. No, champ, that's not really what we're looking for with attacking. I think it is. It's not going to work. Now, that's all conjecture. I don't know if that conversation took place, but it sure as heck sounds like something similar to that took place. So, but I want us to be very careful. And this is where we spin into soccer over there. My beloved AC Milan had a manager by the name, whose name is being thrown around in this little search, Allegri, right? Max Allegri was the person who was supposed to lead us out of the Carlo Ancelotti era, and he was supposed to. And in the beginning there were some rough spots, but by and large he was a successful manager for the club. He wasn't flashy enough. It wasn't sexy enough. Soccer parted ways, and it has been one after the other, after the other, after the other. It has been a turnstile at management for AC Milan because they couldn't figure out who they wanted to be, what they wanted to be. They said, we just want to be top 4. We want the Champions League spots every year. Get us into the Champions League. And then halfway through, they start changing the criteria. Wait, no, you're too defensive. Wait, no, this isn't. And it became a turnstile, and it didn't work. And so what happened is they let go. They went through every Milan legend, virtually from Clarence Seedorf, Pippo Inzaghi. They brought in Montella. Montella didn't work, and then they said, okay, well, heck, what are we going to do now? Let's bring in. We'll bring in Gattuso. Yeah, Gattuso is going to be the answer. And then Gattuso got them 1 point away from Champions League qualification, and then they mutually parted ways. Man. Salute to Gattuso for not doing the buyout.
He should have been the answer.
He should have been the answer. But he wasn't he wasn't playing attractive enough ball. So you part ways with him, which I think is going to be a stain for a long time. They've already paid for it because Gattuso's won Coppa Italia.
Mm-hmm.
And you bring in Marco Giampaolo because you want to play an attractive game now. It's the world's game. We want to play the attractive ball. So we want somebody who can press. We want somebody.
Hey, he's available, by the way.
Yeah,
Is he on
Marco
your list?
Giampaolo.
He's on my list. He's available. He's out of work.
He's out of work. We want someone who can press, who can possess the ball when needed, but is going to run an attractive, fun style with flair. And he was gone instantly. And what happened? They brought in a caretaker manager by the name of Stefano Pioli, who I was not for.
That's accurate.
I was very much on the record of saying, I don't want this guy, get this guy out of here. And it is.
Are you going to apologize to
I have to apologize.
Signore Pioli?
Maestro? Scusi, maestro. But Milan has played the best ball that they have played in a decade under the caretaker manager. So I would, if anyone from Atlanta United is listening to this, and not that they are, Darren is like hanging out, he's sipping some wine, he's going through like a dossier of,
he's got a bigger list than I do.
He's got a bigger list than Jason.
Yeah, I guarantee. But please take note of Milan's example here, because we don't know. And for the fan base, this is the same thing. Please take note of Milan's example. They brought in a manager who was he knew he was going to be a caretaker. He just said, "Hey, look, we're going to play how we're going to play," and he stabilized things. There was a time period where it was bumpy, it was rough. He even ran the WM formation at one point, trying to sort things out. The WM formation, which has not been used since what, the 50s, the 60s maybe?
That is quite old school.
Yeah.
I believe it was the Hungarians in 1953 that beat England with it.
There we go. So he ended up, I believe he finally settled for a 4-2-3-1 at the end, but it worked, and they found a way to make it work. And they had a personality with Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who came from MLS. We all said he was washed. What is he doing going to Serie A? What does it say about Serie A? I think it says more about MLS than it says about Serie A. I think it says that MLS is a far more competitive league than people give it credit for. I think that it says a lot of Zlatan, when he's focused, is still a force of nature that you have to contend with. And I will also say that he provided a winning mentality for that Milan team, that where he stepped in and goes, Zlatan says we will be Scudetto winners. Follow Zlatan. And they did. And they made some changes, and Pioli brought stability. Never underestimate the power of stability at a club. So, Glassy, if you're listening, you do what you do, man. Because I'm just saying, never underestimate the power of stability. When somebody brings a level of stability, when there's been turmoil, and if you, from the Athletic article, had the Champions League game going, and everybody is like going nuts when Spurs beat Ajax, and the quote was it was directed to the other room. There was this divide between management and players. Again, we're just taking it on the Athletic, on what they said. I hope that Glassy comes in and provides that stability, and the man gets an honest shot at the gig, because as a Milan fan, I've seen firsthand what can happen. And Pioli was somebody who almost had Fiorentina in the relegation zone. The team stable after Captain Davide Astori passed away, kept that club stable. He's beloved in Florence. At Milan, the players came out and said, we are playing for this man. He gave me my confidence back. He made me believe that I could be a contributor and a player. I've never seen anything like this out of this Milan side. I mean, the last time I have even anything remotely like this was with Carlo Ancelotti, like in the peak when they were hitting Champions League. Outside of that, I haven't seen anything like that before. So that's my thing. Guys, to the fan base, just remain calm. There will be bumps because you're going from someone like Frank de Boer and his system. Glassy's going to try to do his own thing, probably not shock the world like with, hey, we're going to run Catenaccio. Like, he's probably going to try to find a nice in-between where he can provide, these are my ideas. This is what you've been doing. Let's find a middle ground where everyone's comfortable. Believe in yourselves and must roll. That's what I'm hoping to see from this team going forward. But, to me, that's the thing. That's the main takeaway from this. Never underestimate the power of stability. In your work lives, your home lives, stability is a wonderful thing.
Yes, approved.
Yeah, because desperation will make you do dumb things. If we'll use me as an example. If I were dating a girl and had heartbreak and I got dumped and I get out there and I'm desperate and I pick up the wrong person, who knows what could happen? It's a disaster zone, right? You go and you're trying to desperately find, a job or something like that, and you jump at the first thing that comes available. Maybe you end up in a bad spot. Take some time, breathe. Stability is important. So,
Nick, you're not answering my calls. Nick, you're not answering my texts. I'm going to call you right back. I'm going to check you one more time. Nick, you're not answering.
Yeah.
All right, exactly. All right.
All right, Nick, we got a couple questions for you specifically. Bernd Dursberger says, who does Nick think would be a good hire from Italy?
From Italy?
Mm-hmm.
If I had to go right now out of Italy, I would say De Zerbi from Sassuolo. If you want to reach the fans and say, okay, we hear you, we want more aggressive, more attacking action. You're not going to get Gasparini from Atalanta. He's built something.
Yeah, he would be the one that you'd love. But
ask about.
Yeah, I would love Gasparini in the world of reality where I can go. If I'm Darren and I can call up and get a manager, who would I realistically get? I would get De Zerbi from Sassuolo. I think if you could get Cesare Prandelli to come out of retirement or semi-retirement. I don't even know where that guy is. He's playing right now, but he's the one who really took the shackles off of Italy and tried to get them to play more open and expansive ball, made them a contender. I think Prandelli could do it. Spalletti is not. He's not
Luciano Spalletti. He's available. He's on the list.
He's on the list. You could get him. He would be stable. He'd be pragmatic. He would be okay running a 3-5-2. He would have no problems with that. I would not get Allegri. And the reason I say that is if you look at what has happened to Dybala from the time that Allegri left, he was on the outs. Dybala was on the outs and almost ready to get transferred out. And he, with Sarri coming in and implementing his ideas, there's no way in the world Juve would sell Dybala right now. Unless you brought in like a stupid, I would say north of 90 million is the only way Juve would sell him at the moment. North of 90, easy. But that, to me, when you have a dynamic force like Dybala and your manager saying, no, we need you to drop back heavily and defend, well, that's fine. But then Dybala was never in a position to be a part of the attacking effort, and Juve's counterattacks would often stall. Or you put too much pressure on Bonucci to spray these passes from the back line. Thank God he can do it with quite accurately, but there's too much pressure on Bonucci to do that. And if he failed or if he missed, counters would stall. So that's why I don't like Allegri. Allegri has taken Juve to Champions League finals. He's won the Scudetto God knows how many times, but I think a lot of that's more to Juve's stability, their financial stability, their ability to move around debt and to avoid financial fair play. They're an attractive landing spot. They own their own stadium. So finances are just different for them. I would stay away from – I've seen his name come up several times.
He's on the list. He's available.
No. Well, he was in line allegedly for the Man United job, but, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has proven himself to be the man for that gig.
Yes,
so,
he has.
I mean,
I felt like I was Ole's only defender for most of the winter.
Well,
Me and that kid.
What was Ole hired as?
He was a little unique, yeah, because he was hired from the outside, but, yeah, on a temporary basis, right?
He was a caretaker manager, right?
Mm-hmm.
Believe so. Yeah, it's a little different because he's from the outside, but, yeah, they kept trying to run him. They kept trying to say, we're going to go get Allegri, we're going to go get Pochettino, we're going to go get this guy. And what did my man Ole do?
Champions League.
Man.
Awesome.
All right, Gustavo's got a question for you, Nick.
Go, Gustavo.
You are a fan of Serie A, so what do you think about these rumors of Messi going to Inter?
I would say that it's probably a power play to make sure his final couple of years at Barcelona are as he would like.
Yeah, he's going into the last year of his deal. He's out of contract at the end of 21. If he doesn't sign anything in this upcoming window or before the next window, he would then be able to sign a pre-contract in January wherever he wanted to go. And that would be
nothing for you, Barcelona.
Kind of fascinating.
I believe it's a power play. That's my personal opinion.
I kind of think so, too.
Yeah, get what you want. If he were to go to Inter, I don't know, and this is before anyone kills me, let me finish the line. I don't know how Conte would feel about that. Antonio Conte wants control. He wants firm control of his side. He is a notorious taskmaster when it comes to training. All of his players are constantly complaining about the physicality of his training sessions. Lionel Messi ain't doing that mess. So I want to know. I don't know if Antonio Conte wants to get into that power struggle with Lionel Messi.
Be one of the fastest ones that we'd ever seen.
It would be over with before Antonio would do it. He'd be out the door and gone. But I think it's a power play. I think he would do quite well in Serie A. He would be amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
It would be. I think Serie A would be a perfect landing spot for him. If we follow this through, Gustavo, I think it would be a perfect landing spot for him. The game there is set up where you can get as tactical as you want. He's going to find his window. He's going to find the holes. I would hate it because he'd be wearing blue and black, but it would be something that it would be must-see TV, in my opinion.
All right, I believe he's not just staring at me disapprovingly anymore. I think Jarrett Smith is with us.
Whoa.
He's probably got a mute button he's got to hit. There he is.
There he is.
Yeah, I've been here just taking it all in.
Nick's been on a roll. It's been one of those shows. It's all good.
Yeah, you just don't get out of the way. It's kind of, or you just get out of the way. It's kind of like Juggernaut. If for anybody who watched the X-Men show,
here we go with the references.
Back in the day, it's just kind of like Juggernaut. You just get out of the way.
All right, I'm going to see if John remembers a reference since we have something we need to get to.
Uh-oh. I love the 8-bit transitional element.
You don't remember the reference, do you?
No, I don't.
What day is it?
Oh, it's Monday. So, crap. Do
you want to try that again? You want to try that again before you mess it up? Okay, let's try it again.
Mondays with Reddit.
There we go. All right.
That's so long.
I know. Jarrett, you're up first reacting to an article in Ole out of Argentina, quoting Vicente del Bosque, obviously former manager of Spain, world champion with Spain. He managed Real Madrid. He was speaking of another person who is on the list, Marcelo Gallardo. And Del Bosque said, and this is translated, Gallardo is among the top coaches in the world. If he manages a team like River, he is qualified to coach Real Madrid, and if he ever gets the chance, he will have no problem. He is a coach that I really like. What you think, Jarrett?
I mean, I think just about everybody really likes him. this isn't. Gajardo doesn't come across the same way GBS came across. We go back to um, basically the Trojan War that was River Boca, where they had to play the damn game across the Atlantic Ocean for everyone's safety. This isn't that vibe, where you're like, and this is, GBS is getting mentioned with the Atlanta job and eventually lands at the LA Galaxy, where some people are like, I'd be a great hire. And other people were like, it's, I don't know. So sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe not. It doesn't ring that way, because now I think you're getting a lot of the naysayers looking at the Galaxy going, I see what I mean. Yeah, the Galaxy haven't had a defense since like 2012. So there's that.
Bruce Arena took the defense with him when he left.
Yeah.
Packed it up in a suitcase, left
on the way out the door.
Yep.
But to me, it's the thing of, you don't have that with Gajardo. I don't think you have like naysayers, at least not loud ones that I've seen. They're like, I don't know if he could do this. No, he could do the job. Man, if you're pushing for him to go to Real, man, more power to him in that case. And I think in a worldwide pandemic year, maybe that happens.
Nah, Zidane's there as long as he wants. I think it's more hypothetical. Like, can he go there? Yes.
Zidane, I'm just waiting for Zidane to just be like, I'm going to go somewhere else. Just for the sheer challenge of it.
Maybe.
And just to go break some people in.
Maybe. All right, hold that thought, because I got another one from this interview for you in a second, Jarrett, because this is one you'll like it. John Gajardo going to Europe. Do you think he goes to Europe in his next move? Now, he is under contract at River until the last day of 2021. That's when his contract is up. It runs through Rodolfo D'Onofrio's presidency. You think he goes to Europe next, or does he maybe come up north a little bit?
Oh, goodness. Well, I mean, I was trying to figure out.
What would the odds makers put on him coming to MLS? What would the number be?
Gajardo, I'm sure that he'd have a pretty decent amount, 10 or 15 to 1.
Okay, all right.
I think that'd be in there, but I mean, can you? I'm looking specifically at the economics right now of River. Can River handle what we're going through right now in a pandemic sense?
They can.
In the economic market.
They're going to take a hit, but they can. Boca will handle it the best. Jarrett?
I was saying, if there's anyone in Argentina who can, I'm thinking it's River. River's at the top. Well, not to say other teams.
Boca's
near the top of that
better
list
off.
Teams that are more. If you're weighing their chances, you like the odds better with River than a lot of teams.
Yeah, right. Boca and then River and then everybody else. That's what it looks like.
So then, for me, I could see him spending time through the end of his contract and then working his way north, as opposed to needing some kind of an immediate exit strategy, heading to Europe, biding time with a new gig, and then coming over.
See, I think if he's coming to MLS, he's coming now. They'll get him out of the contract and whatever. If he sees that contract out, he'll go to Europe. I think there'll be opportunities for him there, because this is not the first big name who's spoken highly of Marcelo Gajardo. I think that's only going to continue. Nick, I'm going to let you have first crack at this, and then Jarrett, you have to chime in on it. One other thing from Del Bosque's interview, and this was with DirecTV Sports in Argentina. We know the Ballon d'Or is not happening this year for some stupid reason, but Del Bosque had somebody that he recommended to win the Ballon d'Or. Mm-hmm. Sergio Ramos winning the Ballon d'Or, what would your reaction be to that, Nick?
That's home cooking.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, that's no.
Man, Jarrett, what do you think? That's your boy.
That is one of my boys. Everyone loves a good heel, and he's such a good heel. It's home cooking because he's been really good. But I think if you're going to go by these awards, and let's be honest, these awards popularity contests more often than not, and popularity is a short-term thing. It can last for a long time, but that popularity, that race, you can be in that race for a long time. But the boost you get from it is kind of like, if you've ever been to the fair, you play that game with the horses where you roll the ball. and you can try and get in a hole with a big number, and then the horse goes side to side, and you're trying to win the little derby or whatever. It's kind of like that every year. You're trying to roll a big number so you keep a bit of a lead, or someone else doesn't catch up with you. We saw this a couple of years ago with Luka Modric just going ball out during a World Cup. We've seen it with Messi and Ronaldo being able to roll high numbers their entire careers. But I think if you're going to roll a high number for a defender, it's going to be Virgil van Dijk, just for popularity's sake.
Yeah.
Although Sergio Ramos he needs a gold watch.
He needs a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. At some point, he's going to need a gold watch from World Football.
Does he need that Lifetime Achievement Award in the shape of an Inter Miami kit?
He gets it in the shape of an orange card, I hope, because that just feels right.
I just want Ramos in MLS.
Whether it's an Inter Miami, oh my God, you imagine him playing in MLS, especially with some of the officials in this league.
That's what I'm saying.
There's going to be some games where he's off the field in 2 minutes, and there's going to be other games where he's going to wipe out 9 other players and put people on long-term injury and escape with we almost gave him a yellow card at the end for persistent infringement.
Mejores patatas. Definitely. He would be all over.
Why now? Why now? The last defender to get it was Fabio Cannavaro. It was right off of a World Cup win.
There's no context in the piece. It could have been, there could be more to that. So I don't know. Okay. We had another game this afternoon, and John, you're going to have to chime in on this. The Colonel said it was a bad day for the Cardiff guys that he doesn't like so much. Yeah, exactly. Colonel's no longer anticipating a South Wales derby at Wembley. Fulham will be formidable if the Swans can get past Brentford.
Yeah. Full disclosure, the Colonel and I are Swansea supporters.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a member of the Swans Trust. So the fact that the Swans knocked off Brentford 1-0 in the first leg at home, and Brentford will be without one of their stud midfielders for the return leg. Fulham, they've been strong all season long at the top of the ladder. But, so for folks who are in the black and white of Swansea City, seeing bad things happen to the Bluebirds, that is not something where you sit there and there are a lot of tears that are cried. So if Swansea can hang on, it'll be Swansea and Fulham chasing after that third promotion spot. But they've got 5 weeks. Whoever wins the promotion playoff has 5 weeks, man. 5 weeks to get everything squared away in the transfer market or anything to bring in players to get ready for the Premier League. So,
Nick?
I think that's better. I think only 5 weeks, then you don't really have time to think about it. Then it's just all right, we're going. I mean, who do we play next week? I guess we got Chelsea next week.
Yeah, exactly.
No different than an FA Cup. Let's just go. What are you going to do?
All right, Nick, Michael Ruiz asking on Twitch, how much do you think Lautaro Martinez ultimately goes for?
$11
I say 90 mil. I think by the time it's all said and done.
Where do you think he goes?
I think it goes Barcelona.
Barca said, now they have said over and over again that they don't have the money to do that. It's got to be a player swap. There's got to be players involved. They don't have the cash.
There will be players involved.
Okay.
There will be players.
So $90 million in value.
I say it'll be $90 million in value. I'm going to say it'll be $80 million in cash, and then probably a player who they're going to massively undervalue is a make weight. But I think he ends up going to Barcelona. It's where he wants to go. Inter is going to make a killing on this deal no matter what, and it really is going to open the eyes in Serie A as to importing Argentine talent, because a lot of times these guys qualify for dual citizenship. You can't get around that. That's very valuable. And the return rate is absurd. So you're not selling Italian kids the same way. You're just not. You're not shipping these guys out for the same dollar amount. And if you can take a player, Lautaro Martinez is very talented, but from the European mindset is if we can get this kid out and turn him into a star and ship him out of here for a ton of cash, this is a repeatable process. And, so that's why when we hear things like Barco, and this is another Michael Ruiz question from Twitter about Barco to Fiorentina, would Fiorentina be willing to spend that money? You know, what is it? What did we say, about 25, 30 million?
I was thinking 30 pre-pandemic. I don't know what that number is now, unfortunately. It might not be 30. If Rossi from LAFC, reportedly LAFC will not take less than 18. 25 feels like a number that's in the ballpark and realistic for Barco.
There have been people who have tried to downplay this move, saying it would be a bad landing spot for them, that they're not a typical, contender. I want to flesh out why I think that it's actually a great move for Barco. Is one, the city of Florence is amazing. It is my absolute favorite city in Italy. Which, if you know me, I typically skew Sicilian all the way, but Florence is my all-time favorite city. Rocco Commisso is involved in that city to a level that most Americans who tried to get in there, and I say American, he immigrated to the U.S. when he was 12. He still has an accent. He still speaks fluent Italian. But for Italians, they still look at him as sort of painted with an American brush. And that's not a bad thing. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because there's the belief that Americans know how to make money. They put their faith in them. But the biggest issue that Rocco is facing right now is that he is trying to get a new stadium built. He's already building a state-of-the-art training facility right outside of the city. He's investing a ton of cash. You have Franck Ribéry on the team. You had Kevin Prince Boateng for a while. He got loaned out. But they have Federico Chiesa, who's one of the most exciting young talents in Italy. It is a place where Barco could go today, be dropped in, and be a contributor. And not just contribute, but if they don't sell Federico Chiesa in this window, then he's going to be teaming up with a player who is unbelievably exciting. So it's going to be highlight worthy for him. I personally believe that out of all the clubs that you could go to in Serie A, where there's not going to be a crushing expectations placed upon you, Fiorentina is a great landing spot. They're in 12th right now. So the idea that he can just come in, hey, look, we're mid-table. Let's try to get a European spot. Okay, cool. And just go and have fun. They're probably going to be doing a manager hunt in the offseason, but I have no problems with that move going. But that is what you're going to start seeing more of out of Serie A, these moves where they get these younger Argentine players and shipping them out for cash because of Lautaro Martinez. So Inter needs to get this deal done. It's a massive cash fall for them, no matter what or how much they get.
Gustavo chimes in on Marcelo Gallardo, and he says, as a suffered Argentine citizen, I like any decision that weakens River and Boca. If Gallardo leaves River, they lose their best asset. Never in a million years he would go to MLS, sorry. If Atlanta United wins the Conca Champions, that's another story. We would be the cover of all the newspapers in the world. I think the way, if he comes to MLS, it would be because he wants out of River. I mean, it would just be, I need to get out, and I want to get out now, and this would be the only place it would make sense. If he turned down Miami, there's nobody else in MLS outside of Atlanta that would be a possibility. I still think it's a long shot. I'm with Gustavo. I don't think it's likely.
Counterpoint, he could come here and be the first coach to win CONCACAF
he could.
Champions League and be immortalized. I'm with you that I think it's a long shot.
It's like I said about
something beautiful about coming here and being the first one who's not a Mexican team in the modern era to just go down and, bash the brains in of everyone south of the border.
I think the problem is for a manager at that stage of their career is if they come here and they don't light the league on fire, they do damage long-term to their career. If they come here late in their career and they come here and it doesn't go so well, it's fine. You've already established yourself. And I think Gallardo's fine. And I think he'll go to Europe. I think he'll probably go to a big club. Guardiola's talked him up. Del Bosque's talking him up. He'll wait it out, I think. You'd have to – I don't even know if you could give him enough money, if you could give him enough of whatever he wants. So he's on the list. I mean, he has to be. You have to kick the tires there. You have to ask. But it's not likely. I think Gallardo, Pochettino are in that same boat. I mentioned Andre Villas-Boas, who is at Marseille. Another one that has been connected to Darren at Tottenham, and it's a long shot. But you kick the tires on it. You find out if there's any interest because it's kind of a different world right now. There could be interest that wouldn't have been there before. You find out, and then you keep working your list because there's a lot of different possibilities. Nick, I got a question for you. If you were the star of a Danish reality show,
Oh no!
would you take the show to film at? This is translated from Danish to English, and it's Italian, so it might be off. Lake Como.
Ooh, yes, absolutely.
So you would take the show there and film there.
Yeah, George Clooney has a house on Lake Como.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
our good friend Nicholas Bentner has taken the show.
Yes.
So it's Mondays with Bentner.
He's just this one. He's taken the show down to Lake Como. Nicholas and Feline, translated, took themselves dip after dip during the holidays in the formerly so corona-plagued northern Italy. I don't know if that needed to be in there. That's kind of unnecessary. Thanks, Danish newspaper. But this is the greatest sentence ever in Danish journalism. And it's translated to English. But this is amazing. Yeah, I'm going to read it, and you're going to react. You're going to agree with me. It starts out just setting the scene of, they dip after dip in the lake and all that. Here's the sentence. Before that, the football gift Flab and his brash model girlfriend had toured the area in a motorboat. Football gift Flab. I have no idea how the translation works from Danish to English to get that.
Well, isn't
So
it
is- so
Danish
is he-
to Italian to English?
No, this is from a Danish tabloid.
Okay.
So that to me sounds like that he's out of shape and went shirtless.
I mean, he's shirtless. He's not that flabby, I guess. But maybe it's too flabby for the Danes. He's only 32. When's he coming to MLS?
Never.
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 I mean, his reality show's got to end sometime, right?
I mean, look, the only team that would take him and try to do something with him is like Cincinnati. That's it. And that's just because they need somebody with a pulse who can run forward.
That'd be fascinating, though, if he went to Cincinnati. I'd love that.
I mean, they got Vasquez, I suppose. But, I mean, no.
No?
No. Lake Como is insanely beautiful. Like, if it is you can YouTube drone footage Lake Como and just start making your travel plans whenever the U.S. finally figures out what they're going to do.
Yeah, there's that.
Was that where the one James Bond movie with Daniel Craig ended? That one, the one where he's trying to avenge the girlfriend's death and the guys at Lake Como with the castle.
Yep,
Yeah, that was pretty strong.
Yeah.
Good pull.
Yeah.
Bond was not a football gift flab, that's for sure.
No. Michael Ruiz with a couple of things for you, Nick, on Twitter that we haven't gotten to. We've mentioned Fiorentina. He wants to know if there's any team able to knock off Juve over the next couple of years. Is it even possible?
Yeah. Atalanta can do it. They have the ability.
You think they can keep that group together?
I think they're going to try. You have a side there that is dynamic, young. They're doing things that it's just not. It hasn't been done in Serie A in a while. From a team attacking perspective, but when you look at this Juve side, they're going to keep retooling, right? It's how many years does Ronaldo have left? He is still a dynamic talent, but this season, even with the break, you can really see that he's lost a step or two, And the question is how long can he physically hold up and keep going? It's time to start asking that question. It's okay to ask how long Ronaldo and Messi are going to keep going.
Nick got so upset he froze.
Ronaldo got upset and he froze his screen.
Man, Cristiano Ronaldo has the power over the show.
Well, at least the power over Nick.
Jared, are you still with us? Did Cristiano Ronaldo end you?
No, he doesn't have power over me.
Okay, just checking.
He may have at one point, but he's slow now.
Man, he froze Nick up. That's crazy. Okay,
And
well
by
then
slow, I mean he's still faster than like 97% of the population. But
it's true. Jared, I have a question for you.
oh god,
How are your San Jose Earthquakes going to handle being the fairly large betting favorite tonight at 8:30?
hopefully they just enjoy life and enjoy all this, and hopefully they don't fall into the trap that almost caught Sporting Kansas City last night. 35 shots on goal.
30.
Awesome.
35
Was awesome.
mother trucking shots on goal.
And Hazel had 8 saves, and he was right there.
You know, his only mistake was getting into a shootout with Tim Melia, who basically has the gift of foresight.
Well, but I mean, come on. Those Vancouver players, they look like they completely and totally were freaking out.
Oh, Nick's with us. He has broken the spell of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes. Yeah. Do whatever you want, CR7. You have no power over this end. Deal with it.
Okay, I got an update on the show, and I haven't shared this with you guys yet. It's kind of funny. We signed up for Chartable. Chartable is a service that, it checks your listens on Apple Podcasts, on different things. It checks also something they do called their reach, where you stand. So, sad news this week. We have fallen out of the charts for sports in Romania. We had charted, we're out now. We are still in the all podcasts, not just the sports podcasts. We are in the top 325 in India. Pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are in the top 1,967 in France.
France.
Yeah, seriously. We're in France. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Bonjour.
The French like us more than the Canadians in terms of all podcasts, but that's okay.
I mean, sorry.
And sports yeah, exactly. Sports podcasts in the United States, our reach, we're in the top 100. Number 94.
Whoa.
Not bad. Take that.
Take that.
Yeah.
Maiden rules.
Unfortunately, Jarrett, we don't have an update from.
In Scotland, today.
Oh, did you see the independent council, though, denied the request for, was it Hearts and Thistle, Jarrett, for their
Yep.
their loss?
They're getting relegated.
Well, the season starts this weekend, so, I mean, they kind of had to sort that out.
We kind of had to get to that.
Sir, those are details. I don't deal in details.
Apparently some other people don't either.
All right, so...
Hey, buddy, if you've been paying attention to Scotland since February, nobody was dealing in details in Scotland.
That is very true.
Oh, my God.
It was some of the best programming we've ever had in the history of the network, soccer over there or otherwise.
It was wonderful.
God.
It's true. All right, I need your betting choices here because we've got two games tonight. I got it. I got the official BetMGM since they are a league partner. We will give them some love.
Okay.
They could give us some love too.
Really?
I think we'd probably have to be able to legally do things
on,
with them
man.
here in this state. But anyway, that's a whole different topic. All right, tonight, John, you pick first, and I don't have the draw option because they don't share the draw option. So you can give us that. San Jose is plus 115. Real Salt Lake plus 280.
Okay.
The draw would just mean it goes to penalties. I'm assuming that's
plus 219 in the aggregate.
so. They're saying go to penalties.
Yeah.
219.
Yeah.
But San Jose is a favorite here. Jarrett's worried. Nick?
I think I'm going to take it. It goes to penalties.
Who wins?
I'm going to say that in penalties that it will be Real Salt Lake who wins.
Oh, wow. Damn.
I got San Jose in regulation.
I
John?
got San Jose in regulation. I think Wando gets another poacher with that XXX FUBU jersey that he's wearing.
Yep.
Why is it a FUBU jersey?
Or who does the baggies? Who did the
A lot of people did baggies.
Well, I think
Everybody
Starter
in the
had the
90s.
biggest jerseys in my mind.
Yeah.
Starter made like
Starter
any
might be
size,
the
no
better
matter
call.
what.
Correct.
I mean,
All right.
I was like 110 pounds, and I wore like I had a small starter jersey, and it still fit me like a triple XL.
All right, the nightcap.
You could
Go ahead.
smuggle a family on that thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The nightcap, a little surprising. Actually, very surprising.
Ooh,
LAFC minus 121. Seattle plus 280.
Oh, dear.
Disrespecting the Seattle Sounders. What's the movement, John?
Has that line shifted?
Efforting.
LAFC is the overwhelming favorite here.
Let's see. Depending on your betting venue of choice, it was at 238 this morning. It was at plus 238 this morning.
Ooh.
And has, in the last 12 hours, gone up to as high as plus 309 in some places.
Good grief.
So, the line on the Seattle side has gone up, and it is actually still moving as we speak. The draw option and LAFC. LAFC opened when the match was made as even money in some places, and they've turned into a slight favorite on the minus side of things.
How long ago did they open as the favorite?
A couple days ago.
Yeah, when the game was set, probably.
When the game was announced, LAFC came in at even money, but that has shifted today slightly, depending on your venue, from minus 106 to minus 115, and it's kind of fluctuated from there. And then there are other spots where it started at minus 111 and it's gone up to minus 132, actually.
Yeah, somebody knows something. Either that or they're trying to move some action.
I
The
think
Philadelphia
the
Union
latter.
about being disrespected this tournament by the odds makers.
It's crazy.
Hey,
It's crazy.
Vegas is figuring out there's money in American soccer. Trust me.
There's
There's
people
money
who
to be made.
need something to gamble on right now.
I'll take LAFC. I'll take LAFC on that one.
I hope you're wrong on both accounts.
I know. Look, I want our boy Almeida to win. I mean, now that our team's out, we have to get behind someone.
I got to add him to the opening graphic, I think.
Join
Yes.
us. Join us.
Becca Sese made it.
Join us.
Well, I think everyone knows that my second team's Minnesota, right? Do we all know that?
I think that's known. Most people know
that's
that.
common knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm an unofficial member of the Fist of the North Star, the greatest 80s post-apocalyptic soccer
Fist of
supporters
the
group.
North Star.
That was a great
Lawnmower
anime.
Man-
It's a legendary
Lawnmower
anime,
Man
Fist of
was
the
a-
North
was a
Star.
supporters group.
Yeah,
This would be it.
I'm just saying that is in their tagline on Twitter. It's the first 80s post-apocalyptic soccer supporters group.
Wow.
It's amazing.
That's something.
I'm going to go with Seattle. I think that this is the best defense that LAFC has faced in the tournament to date, coming out of group. And I've got to go with Seattle here. I'll go 3-2 Seattle, but it's going to be a fun one. So
what's the draw option, John?
Draw option in the aggregate is plus 299.
Taking it. 2-2 goes to penalties. Seattle wins.
There you go. I'll take that too.
Betting with your heart, my man. You're betting with your heart.
Nah, I think it's going to be back and forth. I have no faith in LAFC stopping anything.
Oh.
They're conceding at
It
least
doesn't
two.
Get to penalties. It doesn't get to penalties.
No?
No way.
Who wins?
No. Seattle's winning this outright.
Wow.
Seattle is going to beat LAFC like a dog.
You guys,
Wow.
you guys are letting
almost-
your hate
no,
for Bradley Wright
no,
Phillips cloud your judgment.
No, that's John.
No. And no, it's not even on the scoreboard. It's physically. They're gonna beat the dog out of
That's
LAFC
true. They might do that.
physically.
Do we even
Hold
know
on.
who's going to start in net for
Human.
LAFC?
I don't know. But it doesn't matter to me because Seattle is going to go out there and they're going to beat the dog out of LAFC physically and just muck up that game. I don't care if Vela's not out there. They'll just kick Rossi around the field. They'll kick BWP around the field. And I got nothing against BWP.
Who's
on
the
grand
official
scheme of
tonight?
things.
Who's the official tonight?
Ooh, that's a good question because that will have an impact on it.
Because
Somebody out of the Thunderdome.
Let's see.
long as it's not Rivas.
Oh, give me Rivas. Please give me Rivas for chaos.
Rivas for chaos?
Yeah, do we have it? Oh, it is somebody who does not like to call fouls. Jair Marufo.
Oh!
LAFC screwed.
Oh, they're done for.
They're getting kicked all night long.
Oh, they're done for.
They're going to get kicked around the field. Seattle's going to ugly that game up, and Jordan Morris is going to get on the end of something at some point.
Yep.
Oh,
gonna be-
man.
But give me like 3-2. Like, really fun, really high scoring. You're not keeping LAF. So
Man, I'm going to have to stay up for
He's
this.
not keeping anyone off the board.
I got to
My
stay
problem
up
with
for this
Jordan
game.
Morris is he has Eli Manning face. That's my problem with Jordan Morris. He has Eli Manning face.
Eli
where he
Manning's
always looks
got
like
2
someone
rings.
Stole his fire truck.
Yeah, but he got 2 rings.
I don't care. He has Eli Manning face where, or it looks like somebody always stole his fire truck.
Oh, man.
That's my problem. That's why I don't like Jordan Morris. He could play like Pele, and I would still be like, I hate you because you look like somebody stole your fire truck 24/7.
In 1984, especially with that mustache that he's got going on right now.
Yeah.
Nah, let the mustache roll. It's quarantine time.
Well, I figure the over under on BWP fall down go boom is what, 4.5?
75.
Yeah. But that's what's going to happen. Is Bradley Wright Phillips will fall down by like the humidity changing by 2.7%.
Yeah. Balance will throw him off.
And that'll be the one call that they'll get, and it'll be a penalty. And I'm still going.
Bite your tongue.
And I'll join you in the 3-2, but LAFC wins 3-2 because they really can't stop anybody. But they can keep it to south of 2.
All right, we are bringing back a segment we haven't had in a little while. We have a nominee for this.
What a plonker.
It's a whole club this time around. It's the leadership of the club. It's not the players. It's the leadership of the club who are making decisions. Feyenoord in the Netherlands came out that a player said that he had not yet been tested for coronavirus, and it was confirmed by Dick Advocaat, who is their manager, that they're not going to test. The quote is, "All players feel good."
Wait, what?
No, they're not going to test. More from Dick Advocaat, who is the plonker, I think, in this, along with whoever else is making the decision. Our doctor, Casper von Eyck, has his own ideas about corona testing.
Nope.
And according to Casper, it only makes sense to actually test players when they experience complaints. This is not the case for the time being. All players feel good. That's what he said.
Go talk to the Marlins. Let me know how that works out.
Mm-hmm.
Let me know.
Advocaat has not been tested either. Advocaat's, how old is he? I mean,
He's got to be
He's at late 60s, isn't he?
minimum.
at a minimum, yeah. He said he has not been
71.
tested. I'm very careful. Try to stick to the measures.
Irrelevant and immaterial to the argument, counselor.
Yeah, they're set to go to Germany to do preseason.
So they're going to get tested in Germany.
Yeah.
He's
So
72.
now one thing, 72. So they're still the plonker, and he's a plonker for saying
Yes.
these things. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way around that. Their preseason would be August, or I guess their trip to Germany. I don't know when their preseason completely starts. August 21st to the 28th. It's very early in the process for them. That's still an idiotic thing to say.
Yes.
Beyond. Yeah, we have a player for the Boston Red Sox who's complaining about potential heart damage from contracting coronavirus. We have, there's an entire state I would like to point Mr. Advocaat to and say, by all means, feel free to emulate their stunning success in containing coronavirus.
Which one? Because there's a few.
Plonker. Yeah, we'll run with Plonker for the time being.
Yeah.
The
if they're-
G-rated version.
Yeah, that's the G-rated version because apparently I've learned that my son may watch some of these, so I'm going to keep it a Plonker.
What a plonker.
All right, Michael Ruiz is calling us out. He says, how is this soccer over there? And we haven't talked about Christian Pulisic. Best player at Chelsea, no?
He had probably the best Chelsea play of the season, I would say.
I'd say best form at the end.
Yeah,
For sure.
That.
I will look. Pulisic to me is, if anybody deserves the title of Captain America right now, it's him.
Oh yeah.
There's no question about that. I hope that I want to see next season for Christian. I want to see steady starts. I don't want any more off the bench mess. This kid has proven that he can ball.
What about Timo Werner?
That front line.
What about Kai Havertz if they get him and they're
Havertz?
working on it?
Oh, God. Well, Werner, Ziyech, and Tammy Abraham up top with Olivier Giroud, who's
You didn't mention Pulisic's name.
I'm getting there.
Well, there's no. You said the line. There's no getting there, John. That's the problem.
Right.
You said the line. Like, you can only play so many attacking players.
You can only play so many attacking players, but that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be, transfers have been known where we bring in legendary player and it falls apart.
Well, Timo Werner was there with his
example.
True. Very true. Timo Werner was there with his weird thumbs. If you saw the picture, that was a little creepy. But he was there, and the Havertz thing is not done yet, but reportedly getting closer.
Yep.
I want to see what Timo Werner does without the press.
Yep, that's a good point.
Because if as we all know, with that Red Bulls press, the idea is that we compress the field down to such a level where it is plink, plink, plump. The ball is right in front of the net for us to score. I want to see what Timo Werner does when that system is not there for him to exploit. So, of all the moves that could go sideways, I think the Timo Werner move could be the one that does, where he slightly underperforms and the howls are so insane that it's problematic for him. But Chelsea has to start Christian Pulisic. They have to.
I agree.
And the kid's proven it.
How,
what more do you want from him?
I don't know how yet, because I don't know how things shake out with Giroud, Abraham, if they get Havertz, Timo Werner. I mean, you're playing. Maybe you can squeeze him deeper. I mean, you're playing 3 of that 5. We'll leave Ziyech out for a minute. 3 of that 5 is who you're playing.
Mm-hmm. Do we think Giroud's going to be there next year?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you play Timo Werner down the middle, if you play him out wide, if you play Pulisic out wide, if you play him in the hole. I mean, we talked about it coming into this season, and I think it plays into what we've seen with Atlanta United. Sometimes when you have a lot of choices, you don't really settle on anything. Right. And Frank Lampard is going to have a lot of choices, but is he going to find what group he gets the best out of? And how long is that going to take?
Right.
I don't know.
If I'm doing it, I think you have Pulisic out wide, and I think he's feeding into Timo, who should be playing a more central role. And Giroud. Look, Giroud's not getting any younger. He's somebody who you can bring in off the bench, I think, at this stage in his career, and I think either he's going to be okay with it or he's going to want to move. But that's a conversation that Frank needs to have immediately, because you cannot keep a kid like Christian Pulisic, who is demonstrating time and time again his quality, on the bench and bringing him in as a super sub. It's just stop. We're past that at this point.
Katie Weaver is calling for Olivier Giroud to Major League Soccer.
That's not a bad shout.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
I'm with it.
Where?
Yeah, where?
Miami would be one right now.
Yeah.
Realistically, I'm thinking we had a lot of number 9s come into this league.
Austin.
And they're
Kansas
settled.
City would have made sense before they fixed their little issue.
Yeah, but they're fine. Austin's a good shout. Montreal is the one, though.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Montreal would be perfect for him.
See what happens sometimes?
The Heat in Austin, I don't know how he would do on a regular basis with the Heat in Austin, but culturally, it would be a smoother transition for him to go to Montreal.
All the poutine you can eat, he would have
all
it.
The poutine. And Thierry Henry's there. You got Thierry Henry's there.
Mm-hmm. It's good times. Byrne is not on the Timo Werner to Chelsea being a good idea train. Byrne says Timo typically plays as the second underneath striker in a counter-attacking pressing system. He's not a sole striker.
Right. Right. And that's going to be the challenge for any of these people who come out of of that pressing system, an attacking player in that Red Bull system is, if you have to play a more expansive game, how are you going to react to that? What's your production going to look like? Because you can be involved a lot in that more expansive game, but if your numbers diminish, you're going to be looked at as a transfer failure.
Right.
So, what's that going to do to your confidence? So that's a great call, Brum.
Will Chelsea fans be saying this next season?
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
I think they will.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because when the field is not compressed in the same way, and you're not receiving the ball in the same location, you're having to do one more, going one-on-one to try to create space. It's a different ball game, So I think Timo has the ability to do it, but his production will be radically different.
All right, Jarrett, we're going to start with you on this one. CONCACAF announced the World Cup qualifying format, and it's as crazy as you can get with what's going on right now. So it's going to be a final 8, and you're going to play everybody in that twice. So you're going to play 14 games to get there. 5 of the 8 have been determined. It's Mexico, it's the United States, it's Costa Rica, it's Jamaica, it's Honduras. Those are the top 5 teams in CONCACAF according to the FIFA rankings. The final 3 spots will be determined during a qualifying first round of teams that are ranked in the FIFA rankings out of CONCACAF, 6 through 35. Now, the top 6 are going to be seeded into different groups. El Salvador, Canada, Curacao, Panama, Haiti, Trinidad, and Tobago. So they're seeded. They'll be in separate groups. The rest of it, draw next month. They'll be slapped into groups. You're going to play everybody once in that round, this first round. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know. They said 2 games at home, 2 games away. I mean, is it a random draw to see which games you get at home, which games you get away? I don't know. They can't do more because they don't have time. Yeah. So that's going to get you to 3 teams after you do the group stage in this first round. Then you have a playoff in this first round. The group stage for that's going to be October and November of 2020. Then you're going to have these playoff games in March of 2021 alongside the semifinals and the final of the CONCACAF Nations League that we didn't get to have. That's going to happen in March of 21. The final round of qualifying for World Cup 2022 will start in June of 21, and you're going to play 14 games. You are going to play a World Cup qualifier at the Estadio Azteca, and it will probably... I mean, we can't guarantee it because we don't know how the rankings are going to fall and how things will go later, but probably the last World Cup qualifier with any real significance between the U.S. and Mexico at the Estadio Azteca. Top 3 teams out of that 8 go to the World Cup. The 4th place team goes into the interconfederational playoffs. How ludicrous is this thing, Jarrett?
It's Calvin ball.
I was taking notes as you were talking, and I just stopped taking notes.
I don't know what else you could do, but, I mean, is this good or bad for the United States?
Man, I mean, I think it's good in the sense of it increases. I think you're increasing your chances of getting into the World Cup, and that's good. You know, because I think we went over this enough in the last 4-year cycle of I don't want completely miss me with that. Oh, it's good when you miss the World Cup. It makes you do this, that, and the other and fix things. No, it's not good to miss the World Cup. This is like, oh, it's good. I got a D on a test. I didn't get an F. No, it's still not good. Like, no, it's still not good to miss.
It's like Aston Villa celebrating staying up.
That reminds me so much of the Aguero goal on the last day for Manchester City, where everyone's like, "Oh my God, QPR stayed up!" Like, yeah, QPR stayed up. You also got to watch arguably the greatest ending to a season of all time. But sure, why not?
Aston Villa is in this contest.
What a plonker.
They don't win. They got trumped by Dick Advocaat, but yeah, they're nominated.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, it's good because it increases your chances to go to the World Cup. You like the United States over a number of the other teams in the Confederation over multiple games like that, assuming you don't just absolutely burn everything to the ground, which, as we know, in the United States is a total possibility.
Thanks, Jared.
It's good overall. Yeah. Hey, I mean,
thanks.
I mean, you know what? You show me one time that you can pull the rabbit out of the hat, I'm going to believe you can pull a rabbit out of your hat.
Now I'm afraid.
I don't want you to do it, but I mean, you took the tires off the car and pushed it down the hill on fire once already in your life. Hopefully you learn not to do it again, but you can. It's not something you need to do.
You don't want to turn it into a labor of Sisyphus, is what you're saying, Jared?
I really don't want it to be a labor of Sisyphus. I get enough labor of Sisyphus watching Celtic in the Champions League every year when they lose at least one game 5-0.
I just always wait to see where the references go because they get more and more ridiculous every time. It's amazing.
What's wild is that if you guys could see our production DMs, essentially it's going to be like soccer, random wrestling, and then like Jarrett and I will go back and forth about some sort of like ancient battles from antiquity, like how it somehow cycles into all of this.
Oh, as we're going into the broadcast,
if you would like to keep up with this, you too can download the History of Rome.
Yes,
or SDH annotated. The Colonel asks, how badly has Fox botched the crowd noise thing?
I don't like it. But I would rather have no crowd noise if there's no crowd. So
exactly.
I would just be no. I think in terms of them botching it, they've botched it a few times where it's been super loud and weird, and it's like there's nobody there, dude. You can turn that volume down a little bit. But in general, it's been okay. I think it got better. I think they figured out that you can have that setting to like 2.5. You don't have to go up to 10. You can just go
turn it to 11.
Small. No, you don't have to test it. Just go very low, and when it's in the background, it's fine. I think 2-Day NA did a better job of their crowd noise than Fox did.
Agreed.
Right. It's we're pushing the boundaries on augmented reality. And
what do you think about Fox's augmented fake people in baseball?
Oh God, that was so bad.
Right, and that's what I'm talking about. Is that we have augmented reality it's a part of, we have it on our phones with various apps. For those of you who are parents and like augmented reality, what? Pokemon Go. There's your augmented reality app, for example, right there. And so now you're starting to see it become a little more accepted in mainstream media, which you're starting to see with the fake crowd noise, even though we know that there's no crowd there, and the fake crowd that's being digitally inserted as well. I will say for Serie A, even if you have a barely passable knowledge of the language, boy howdy, if they had that in English, they would be off the air because the language is so terrible.
Didn't Benetti about lose his mind on one of the broadcasts?
Yes, it was Atalanta versus Bologna, and the Gasparini and Mihailovic were just absolutely just destroying each other with, every Italian profanity and way that you could work it was being exploited. It was a masterclass in Italian profanity. It was amazing. Yeah, Benetti nailed it. He was like, if I repeated any of this, I would be out of a job, like immediately. Like he would have to walk out of the booth. He'd be escorted immediately.
Fox Neutral, I'm guessing that's on the app, Colonel, with no commentators?
Yeah, I think the Fox Sports app gives you the option to do the no artificial crowd noise.
Nothing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I like John and Stu. I'm surprised they didn't bring in a second crew. It's kind of hard when you have a doubleheader like tonight, where those guys got to do 2 games and it could go to penalties, and John might be hyperventilating by the time you get to the start of the second game. That's kind of rough.
Yeah, especially after last night.
The biggest question here is, are the Quakes in the sweet white and yellow kits?
The Visa kits?
Why do you keep calling them the Visa kits? What's that supposed to mean?
They look like the
They
old
look like the old Visa
card.
commercials from the 90s.
That's the old school Visa. That's like Visa from like 1989.
Yeah, I didn't have one of those.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I wasn't
I
that
was
cool.
born in 88,
I
so...
may have snatched a few.
Oh, they are in the yellow shorts. San Jose by
Yeah.
1,000. Those kids, like when we saw the jersey, I remember our reaction was all like, "This is no, kind of
That's like
lame."
the old Miami kids, the old Miami Fusion kids.
Yeah, the jersey didn't really work, but you put the shorts with it, it's a good kit. It works.
Have we seen the one from Nathan Pugh yet? Have we seen that come in?
No,
It's a question he puts to the forum.
I missed it.
I'd like so, and without his custom ads and all that.
Well, it's
but,
the off
Red
season.
Zed, up the Reds, that is all.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
off season. They've been upped.
Yeah, they're up. So congratulations.
Very up.
Up you.
Yeah, those plucky underdogs funded by Massachusetts money. Yeah, okay. And LeBron James, forever that underdog. For the Champions League next year,
Okay.
would you rather have Ole with knighted money or Frank with Russian oil money or Pep with illegal money? Nice little jab there at the end. I can respect that. That's a good jab.
That's fine.
I can respect it.
That's fine. I'll no offense to Ole and Frank, I'll take Pep anytime, whatever kind of money he has acquired, or people are spending, and he doesn't have anything to do with where the money came from. It's
But we
just,
owe them.
he's
But we
coaching.
owe them an apology first.
Who do we owe an apology?
Manchester City.
What are we apologizing for?
Remember
we
they said we owe an apology. Yeah, remember he said this.
I know. I was trying to figure out what we were actually apologizing for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect.
Whatever. Yeah. Whatever, dude.
Yeah.
We dared cross them.
Yes.
Man City and their funding group can select any of the three, whichever one they feel best fits their needs. But I would say I want a story. I am. The producer in me wants a story, and so I will select Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and United money. That story, because I believe he has belief, and for the first time in God knows how long, United fans have belief. So I want to see that. And if you are a United fan who was against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, throw your stuff away. If you were down on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and you wanted him out, throw your stuff away. That's all I'm saying.
I
I'm
agree.
not going to throw my Milan stuff away, but I'm just saying you can throw your stuff away. Do as I say, not as I do.
You first.
That's right.
You first.
Yeah, I want the story. Give me. I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the United money. I don't care if it's the Glazers. Whatever. I've met the Glazers. I want the story. Give me Ole.
Somebody needs to go find that kid and check in with him again, because he called it.
Just go, Ed. Just go.
Just cool. Hey, I saw they're talking about a director of football. Maybe the kid got into the front office. Maybe he's making some moves.
You can
Maybe.
hope. Starters for San Jose: Vega, Lima, Alanis, Kasha, Tommy Thompson, Judson, Jackson Ewell, Erickson wearing the armband, Vaco Espinoza, and Andy Rios.
Hat trick for Rios.
Hey, since the stoppage, how often have you seen Ed Woodward's name in the media?
I think that was the first time I saw it. Was that thing about a potential director of football?
He since he's been quiet, the results have been stunning, have they not?
That's true.
You leave the man alone. This is
Ain't
what
that
happens.
something? One thing about to go back to Gustavo, it was Gustavo who asked about Messi going to Inter, right? I forgot that Javier Zanetti is still a part of their leadership team. So, legendary Argentine player Javier Zanetti is still a part of the Inter leadership team, unless I'm mistaken. I believe he's still a part of that squad. So, and there's a legendary list of Argentine players who've been at Inter. You had Ken Biasso, who had like a very similar bald thing, but he had these two weird wisp things that went back. These two like weird hairlines.
Devil's horns?
Yeah, it was the weirdest hairstyle I've ever seen, and this beats Ronaldo's little triangle cut thing that he had going on. Ken Biasso had these two, because like not everyone balds equally. So Cambiasso had these 2 spots, I guess, that he could still grow hair at the front of his head, and he grew them out, and they were like, he slicked them back. So it wasn't even like a comb over, like these weird bobcat ear things going on with his hair. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. Terrible. Thank God he shaved it off finally, but
I give
there's
RSL,
a ratio to bad hair
Yes.
against, the weirder a guy's haircut is, the more likely he is to cause generational damage to somebody.
Yeah.
That's very true.
No, I have like the Jersey Shore, like enough hair product in the hair that I had that it was like something. It sort of looked like an aerodynamic model like that a car company would put out. Like, this is kind of our prototype speed racer. It was pretty bad. And I went to a barber shop, and I will forever be grateful to this barber for keeping it absolutely 100. He said, "How do you want it cut?" And I was pretty tired. It was in the middle of World Cup 2006. I had not been sleeping like at all because I was like going over every potential permutation on where Italy could end up. And he said, "Well, I can either cut it how I think it would look good, or you can tell me what you want." I said, "Just whatever you want to do." And he put the clipper square in the middle of my forehead and went right back. And from then on, it's been that. So I thank God, because I would have been that moron who would have been trying to like do some sort of like modern art masterpiece to try to conceal the fact. And that gentleman took care of it. So thank you, sir, wherever you may be. Guys, if you're losing your hair, just shave it.
Yeah, I can agree with this.
Yeah.
If you have enough up top to do something with, that's fine. Great, good for you. But
don't Watergate it.
You'll get to a point where it's time to go.
It's time to go.
It's time to shut the party down.
Yeah. And you're going to look younger. I promise you're going to look younger when it's all done.
At least it wasn't like 2002, like, right after the game that we don't speak of, and then you're going to get your haircut after that.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be bad. Because that's at like 9:00 in the morning too. Because that game was a 7:00 start.
I
had to go to work. It was awful.
The girl I was dating at the time was like, "I've never seen a grown man get so depressed over a sporting event in my life." And I was like, "Well, honey, this is only happening once every 4 years, so you can get on board or you can get out." And I was that depressed, man. Hey, look, we got screwed over. Oh, God, that was a legendary team.
Torsten Frings.
Look, we've been talking about doing a watch along to that game. I may get enough alcohol where we can do that.
Well, see, that tournament screwed both of us over because Torsten Frings screwed us over, and you had a referee that later got arrested for transporting drugs into this country. Screw your guys over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He
was good.
We are in Orlando, by the way.
Yes, we are 3 minutes in, or 2:25 in. I can never tell, like, if you're ahead or if you're behind or what you're reacting to, John.
Right now, I'm at 2:40, and they're showing the replay of the nice little pass and the deflection that went right on net.
Yes.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Nick.
And this is a dangerous question. So
this show's went off the rails as we wrap up. Go for it. Go for it.
Hi, we're RSL, and we like to party. But okay.
What?
That's on their announcement for the starting 11. Hi, we're RSL, and we like to party.
Okay. 2% beer.
I can appreciate that.
They love to party at Real Salt Lake.
Yeah, that's true.
So sometimes coaches, when they are removed from a position, are victim of their contemporary success, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we see this in college football all the time. Like, you're a decent coach, but a coach that has done better out of nowhere tends to like Auburn when they went on their national title run. I would want to say they cost a couple of coaches their gigs. Same thing with Florida and their run.
Badgermon's correcting you, Nick. It's 4% beer.
4%. Okay, well, noted.
They've moved up a little bit.
Yeah, see, I think typically I drink like St. Bernardus or Chimay, like the 8 to 9%ers is typically where I don't make any plans beers. That's typically where I'm.
Yes.
I like to exist. But do we think that I mean, it couldn't have helped Frank that Orlando suddenly out of nowhere became like dangerous, not just competent. They look, especially when Dom Dwyer's not on the field, they look dangerous.
When he's not there, they look great.
Yeah, when he's not there, they look merely competent. But
Well,
I mean, you have
is there
teams
a
that
geographic recency bias. Is that what you're looking at here?
I'm just saying. I think that if you're looking around and you're seeing I mean, we can say everything we want about player selection and how that worked out, but LAFC lost their striker. It's a different system. It's different whatever. I can see the eye rolling now, but they're scoring goals. There's no drop off. Orlando, the people who we have just like curb stomped on a regular basis, now look dangerous. I mean, that you have to say something about that. I think it's a question that needs to be asked. I'm not saying I have the answer for it, but it's worth asking. I think.
No, I don't think it factored into the decision. I'm with you in that. And I think when we connect all the dots and you see the quote from Darren and Doug's article today at the AJC, I think that this came from a discussion on Friday. I don't think there was any plan for this to happen sooner. And I think once you had the discussion, it's like, all right, we're good here. We're going to move on because it's good for you. It's good for us. It's good for everybody. I don't think Orlando factored into the discussion, the team. I think the tournament did, but I think it was a general discussion about where are we going, can we make it better? And, as I've been researching my list of lots of different names on it and lots of different things, there's so many times that it happens where this is what you get. You have a bad run of form, and the conversation comes up is like, what do we have to do to make it better? And the coach might not have the answer to make it better.
Right.
He might say, I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else I can do, if it's a communication issue, if it's a breakdown, if it's not having Joseph Martinez, whatever. If it's just, I don't have the answer to make it better. And maybe it's best if I go. That happens. And that's that mutual consent. And that's where you can get to. I don't think Orlando City's success factored into it as much as just, how do you fix it? And if the answer's not there, then it's time to go. And we didn't see the answer in the tournament. Right. It never got better. The first halves got worse, and that's a problem.
I just don't want us to become the Texas Tech of MLS, where we play the system that everyone thinks is an absolute riot and it's so much fun, but you don't win anything.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think that'll happen.
That's why I just don't want us to. I don't want us to be that, where people are like, "Oh my God, the air raid," and then you don't win anything.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. And Jarrett, you didn't chime in on this at the beginning of the show, so I want to leave the floor to you after this. I think the idea of what system people want is not universal. I mean, attacking is, you can attack a number of different ways, and you can counterattack, you can attack, you can do it through possession, you can do it through counterpressing, you can do it through a million different ways. So I don't even know if there's a consensus on how people want this team to look. There wasn't one last year when we talked about this in depth. We kind of went through it, and it was more about winning and scoring goals. Didn't really care how you got there, just wanted to get there. So I don't think it's too specific on it's got to be this style of play and that's it, and like an air raid or like an option or something gimmicky. I don't think it's that. I think it's just fans want goals, fans want wins. Now I wonder if somebody came in, nameless, generic defensive manager here, and came in and went and won 28 games next season and won the cup and did a double, won the Supporters' Shield, won the cup, but scored 50 goals in the season and was incredible defensively. Would that be okay? Maybe in the short term it would, but the minute you don't get the results, you're going to be back here. And I think that's what we're seeing play out. So it's goals. Don't care how you get them. It's goals, however they come, and it's winning. And I think that's where we are with this group. But, Jarrett, your thoughts on just the whole situation and go wherever you want with it.
That's pretty much it. For me, it's goals. And it's people like the excitement. I think, and I'd mentioned this before, that I think in people's mind, when they say, I want my Atlanta United back that I remember, they're remembering a beautiful honeymoon phase that we had for a month in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in 2017, starting against FC Dallas, where Atlanta went on a stretch. And it's where you had that compressed schedule, where you just pummeled people. I mean, you start with FC Dallas. That was like a 3-1 or a 3-0 game. You beat Philadelphia, where you could have, I think you had 2 goals in that game. You probably could have 4 or 5. You dismantle the Galaxy. You have the Rev wedding. I think there are 2 games you don't win in that stretch. One of them is the Orlando barn burner, where it's 3-3. And the other one is the loss late to Minnesota.
Yep.
And that game, go back and look at that. That game was an abomination of officiating.
That's the game that makes Jarrett angrier than any game in the club's history.
You had LGP get elbowed twice in the face in the first half in the box on set pieces. He got elbowed in the face twice. Like, not like a guy's elbow was, tucked in. Like, no, his elbow flared out and chicken winged a man in the face twice. Tito Villalba got wrecked on the sideline right in front of the bench.
That was one of the worst fouls I've seen to only get a yellow.
Yeah, and then you score 2 goals down a man because, God, who was it? Kyle Rainish picks up a red, and that was a fair call. There's nothing wrong with that. And you end up putting Alex Tambakis in the middle of that game.
Yep.
You score 2 goals down a man, and then you give up 2 goals in stoppage time because you're just gassed. You're already gassed because the entire month has been
because you played 20 games in a month. It feels like
you're gassed because it's the end of the month. You're exhausted. And you've been playing with 10 men. But yes, that game will forever make me angry. But that stretch is the honeymoon that people think about when they say, "I want my Atlanta United back." Not the more pragmatic sit deep and counter and still carry possession at times version of Atlanta United that rolled through 2018 MLS Cup, where Eric Remedi still to this day has Maxim Morales somewhere in his pocket. I don't know where he put him, but he put him in there, and he kept him there for a very long time.
He did.
Then he did the same damn thing with Sebastian Blanco in MLS Cup. Eric Remedi will never get enough credit for what he did in the playoffs that year. Nope. Jesus Christ, he just basically took attacking midfielders and put them in his pocket for 180 minutes and said, "Yeah, you go ahead and have a break. Don't worry about doing anything." But to me, that's the honeymoon phase that people fell in love with. And I mean, it wasn't sustainable because it was a compressed schedule. The question of sustainability remains to be seen. But I mean, you're gonna, even if you play like that, you're gonna have to defend at some point because you're not gonna win every single game 5-3. You can't play San Jose every single game because we know Atlanta and San Jose only play bangers. I mean, it's basically like the rap battle everybody would have ever dreamed of. It's just everything is just a hit between those two, but you don't get that all the time. Sometimes you have to put your nose to the grindstone and grind stuff out. Some teams are still going to play you like they always have, like they're terrified of you, and put 11 men behind the ball like Cincinnati was doing before they got before the red card, in the 25th minute to Mulroney. You're still going to have to find different ways to do it. You can't always just drive with the pedal down. Sure, it's great when you can go to Daytona, or I'm going to show the inner Southern child that grew up watching NASCAR. It's great when you can go to Talladega or Daytona or Texas or Atlanta and just open the damn thing up. Take the restrictor plate off if you think you can get away with it.
But you got to know how to drive at Martinsville and Bristol at the same time.
Yes. I was going to go with Pocono because of that weird-ass turn.
Tricky triangle,
yes.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
You gotta know how to drive and know how to play different ways, and you can't just run it wide open all the time as much as we want to, as much as everybody wants to. Because look, everybody enjoys that. It's so much fun when it happens. Go back and look at those games. Go back on YouTube. There's condensed highlights of all those games from 2017. Go watch them. They're a blast. 2018 is more varied. It won you a cup. 2019 was kind of up and down. I mean, I don't know if people can articulate exactly what they want. I know I can't right now because I want to see kind of what happens here. Frankly, as far as I'm concerned, I'm hoping we get back to this so I can watch Stephen Glass beat Orlando, because I am still 99.9% convinced that Orlando is just mentally screwballed by Atlanta United. We're talking like UGA in the early 2000s when they would play post-Spurrier Florida.
Oh,
Like-
or like Tampa whenever it got below 32 degrees.
That whole thing, man, I'm convinced that is like who was the cat who was at Florida right after Spurrier went up north?
Zook.
Zook. Like
Ron
the
Zook.
Zook teams where you're like, man, UGA is a lot better than that team, but they just can't get over the hump. Eventually they did, but I feel like
For a
that is
minute.
Orlando, man. That's a mental thing for Orlando. And if Stephen Glass takes a team to Orlando and skins 3 points off of Orlando City,
I'm for it.
I'll die a happy man.
Oh,
But
that would
I
be
don't know,
hilarious. I hope I
don't
get to be
know-
in the building for that.
I don't know what exactly people are going to look for with this, but man, I get everybody wants to be attacking, but even if you get an attacking minded, we're going to press, we're going to set a high line, and we're going to try and turn it over, and not necessarily Red Bulls press, but maybe like we saw with Atlanta at times when the situation called for it. Not every situation calls for it, so to sit there and say we need exactly this, man, we need a Swiss Army knife. I think DeBoer
So
had
a
that in
pragmatic
mind.
manager. So Jared, a pragmatic manager
boy.
with attacking tendencies.
Yeah, because I think that's what DeBoer had in mind. It did not pan out. I think that's what Jaap Stam has in mind with Cincinnati. Instead, Jaap Stam's going to set the game back 30 years, and this.
Okay, what do you want him to do?
No, I'm with you.
I see your look, Jason.
No,
I know
no.
what you're saying, Jared.
I don't know
What do you
about the
want
attacking
Jaap Stam to do?
tendencies part. What I want him to do right now is get results. I mean, that's what he's got to do, and he's getting them. I don't know if he has the attacking
exactly
tendencies.
what I would do in his situation
Yeah.
with that
Amen.
squad.
You're
Yeah.
outgunned. You got to get points.
I'm not mad at him for that, and especially he's about to pull a Vancouver. I ain't mad at him for doing what he's got to do to go get results, because you don't win, you don't keep.
Well,
job, you
the
don't put
problem
food on the
is in this upcoming match, he's playing a manager who can do that better than he can in Giovanni Savarese. So yeah, he's in trouble. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to finish with Gustavo because he always gives the gold to us in the comments.
Gustavo is amazing.
We're going to sign off on the podcast. We're going to sign off on the Spreaker side of it, the audio side. We'll stick around for a minute and talk a little bit of San Jose and RSL, do like an impromptu watch-along for anybody who can hang out with us. That's on Twitch, twitch.tv/soccer down here. So if you're listening live, that's where you got to go if you want to hang out with us. That'll just be for people on Twitch. But Gustavo summed it up like this, and I think he kind of nailed it in a way. The style of play is something that the club's founders, owners, and the front office have to decide. Then they hire a manager that can give results with the chosen style of play. Then you promote a mythology, the soccer culture, to attract crowds. The Atlanta United fan base is not attracted to another style of play. It's an offensive one. That's because Tata's results show the direction and is a soccer culture to follow. I agree. I think it's very broad. An attacking style, you can get there in a lot of different ways. It doesn't pigeonhole you. If you were a counter-pressing team and then you tried to be something else, well, that's different. Like counter-pressing, there's kind of only a couple ways you do it. If you're going to be a pressing team, there's only a couple ways you can do it. If you're going to be an attacking team, you can attack a lot of different ways. You can score goals a lot of different ways. So that I agree. I think it's the club that's going to set it. They're going to hire a manager who's going to play within those boundaries. It's going to play in the sandbox.
Yeah.
And then they're going to sell it. And that's how you build a club.
I just feel like we're in it's almost like a couples argument right now. Where you can give like the Gettysburg Address of like your view on a situation, and your partner will select like one thing you said and parse that tiny thing into like 1,000 different pieces. I feel like that's what happened here. Is like Darren and Carlos were like, "This is what we want to do," and the fan base was like, "Attacking football. Maybe some games are like 5-3, 5-4. Maybe some games we lose 4-5." Like. And they took that and just put it into 1,000 different pieces out of this whole thing that was promised. I don't know. Maybe that's just me and my ignorance. I just feel like that's like the. I keep hearing it over and over again. I'm like, guys, there was like one statement on like a 3-month bar tour that took place.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I don't know. Can I get a breaking news sounder?
Oh, we got breaking news at this point?
Wow.
Hold on. I was not prepared.
Yeah.
All right. Nick Leafy, breaking news.
There we go. According to Gianluca Di Marzio, Juventus has reached a preliminary deal with Milik. According to Di Marzio, Milik is Juventus's first priority for their attack. A preliminary agreement has been reached with the player, but a deal with Napoli is still missing. So the work still needs to be done to complete the potential transfer. The Azzurri have expressed interest in Federico Bernardeschi. So apparently there may be some player swapping and some cash swapping hands, but the preliminary deal with the player has been met, according to Gianluca Di Marzio.
The pass is underway.
Yes, the pass is in motion. I kind of like that deal for Napoli. I mean,
really
Milik is good, but I like Bernardeschi.
Yeah.
And
I think he could do stuff for Gattuso.
Yeah, he doesn't have a place to play at Juve. I mean, they're always going to go bigger than him, but I think he's a player. So, okay. This was soccer over there, and this is going to be back every Monday because there's going to be lots of soccer over there things to talk about.
Yes.
The silly season is going to be as silly as we have ever seen. The Champions League tournament is going to be bonkers. You're going to have one game, single game, knockout round Champions League action coming up here soon. It's going to be chaos. So we'll get you ready for all that. San Jose Earthquakes just got a goal, so that part of the night is rolling very nicely. Here's what we're going to do. Like I said, if you are listening live on Spreaker, on the app, on our website at soccerdownhere.net, we're going to sign off from you. Mainly, I just wanted to do that because it's like a cool radio thing, and I've never done it with the show, so I'm excited to try this.
Splitting the simulcast.
Yes, we are going to sign off from you with the audio version, and we're going to stick around on Twitch. So if you're cool enough to hang out on twitch.tv/soccerdownhere, we're going to continue for a little bit. So for those of you hanging out on the app, thank you for joining us this evening, and we'll be back next Monday, and we'll be back in the morning for our regular Soccer Down Here show. Y'all have a good night.
Don't be a jabroni.